I'm Mark Scholaro, the owner of MS Classic Cars. Today, it's a very special day because I'm presenting the most special vehicle in MS Classic Cars history. I'm sitting behind the wheel of a 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle SS that I purchased from the original owner. To start off this presentation here, this is a non-rehearsed video. There's a lot of information that I'm going to forget during this presentation, so please visit our website at msclassiccars.com for a complete description with tons of highly detailed photos. I am going to reference my notes that I've written here throughout the presentation. This is a vehicle that I really want to cover as much as I possibly can because of the significance of what it is. If you don't have a lot of time right now for this video, I would suggest shutting it off and coming back and watching it. If you're an enthusiast like myself, you just don't see these things happen very often. So it's definitely something that you want to check out and understand and be part of this with MS Classic Cars. So the first thing I'd like to do is start the video by saying, as you might or might not know, if you've been following MS Classic Cars or haven't, I only collect number 1 and number 2 condition vehicles. We take great pride in doing that. We've been doing that since inception. We're the only classic car dealership in the country. I will say it over and over until other dealers follow suit and private individuals who service the vehicles that we sell. We document all that work with an invoice. As an example, with this particular car here, if I flip through this brand new binder I create for every vehicle we sell, I put everything in methodical order with plastic sleeves, as I've done here with this vehicle. You will clearly see, and again, this is always listed within our photo gallery. This is the invoice of all the work that we've done to this car. We invested $10,929.14 in servicing this car. More than likely, this car is going to end up in a collection. It probably won't be driven. And a lot of people would say, why go through all that service work if a car's not going to be driven very often? But that's not how we think at MS Classic Cars. We want the new owner to do whatever he or she wants to do with their car. If they want to park it and stare at it forever, that's fine. If they want to take it every day and drive it, that's fine too. But we want to present something that is fully serviced and fully detailed to the highest level so they can do whatever they decide to do. So I want to make sure I clarified that. I think the first thing I'd like to do in this video here, before I start getting into the details of it, is I would like to dedicate this entire listing. I've got a picture here that was obviously taken the day before the car got picked up. I'd like to dedicate this to Robert Jr. and Karen Koala of Omaha, Nebraska. They are a great couple with a great story. They become friends of mine. Definitely want to give them a shout out. I had this picture done here, which is on our website. You can check it out. So again, that's what I'd like to do. And I think what I'd like to do before I get into the presentation again is I would like to read the letter. This letter is really just not even 2 pages long. It's going to be really short and simple. You can see this letter on our website, but I thought I would be the voice of Karen, who actually put together the letter for me. I had requested that she do that because as I explained to her, her time on this earth is short. My time is short. We're all short. But one thing about these cars is these cars will carry on as we go. And I thought that it would be wonderful for this car to have this letter. It will always document the story and so forth. So here's the story. We were a young couple. Bob worked at Dewey Smith Chevrolet in Omaha, Nebraska as a heavy-duty engine, transmission, and rear-end mechanic. Karen was a stay-at-home mom with our sons. As you guessed, Bob ordered the family car. The family car was used to take our kids back and forth to school on many trips. The boys loved this car because it was really fast and it was different from other cars in the parking lot at their baseball games. Karen went to work as a laboratory technician, so we bought a racing boat, and now the Chevelle was pulling that racing boat to various races. Bob overhauled the Chevelle engine, transmission, rear end, and I will make it very clear, he never rebuilt any of that. She just meant that he had serviced it. At the time, he was going to send it to a friend to do some work and paint. We're fast forwarding about 8-9 years of ownership that they had in the car. The car ended up sitting in their friend's garage for 22 years. After a small fire in the garage, which had not touched the car, we went to his house with a trailer and we took the car home. The car was in our garage. He wanted to get it running again, and the gas tank was empty because my friends had siphoned out the gas for their cars. Results, a clean tank. The car had no gas in the tank, so there wasn't much to worry about. So he added gas, cranked the engine, and oil pressure came up, and wow, the car was running. The car had been sitting again for 22 years. Not even the original Holley carburetor leaked, and the hydraulic lifters were still pumped up. We decided to have the car restored and took it to a restoration shop. Big decisions lie ahead. For example, we added date-coated plug wires, heater hoses. We did work to the alternator, on all new glass, stock front and rear bumpers were re-chromed, and that wasn't all. There were hundreds of decisions that had yet to be made. After getting the car back, after it was restored, we entered many car shows. The Chevelle never went in a show without winning a trophy, sometimes 2, and at one big show we won 4 trophies. In all, the Chevelle won 80 trophies, including a 7-foot People's Choice Award. It was the centerfold feature in Chevelle World magazine. The car is called the Trailer Queen as it was trailered everywhere, never seeing the street in over 25 years. In the winter months, the Chevelle was stored in an enclosed trailer inside an enclosed building. The Chevelle was never rained on in 45 years. When Bob got sick and could no longer go to car shows, the Chevelle needed someone who could care for her as much as we did. We sold the Chevelle to Mr. Mark Shalero of MS Classic Cars in Seekonk, Mass. We hope whoever owns this beautiful 1966 award-winning Chevelle in the future has as much fun and good times as we did. Best wishes and have fun. She notarized this letter. They signed it, notarized it. The certificate's included here with the original letter. I've made copies of this. So again, this is great information here. So let me touch base on why, first and foremost, before I get into the details of the car, why have I actually named this car the most special vehicle in MS Classic Cars history? If we were to back up just about a couple years here, I have bought and sold, collected over the years, over 700 vehicles that can all be documented on our website, sold page at msclassiccars.com. I had purchased a 1971 Datsun. There's a lot of people who follow MS Classic Cars who clearly know the car I'm talking about and referencing. It was a very, very special 240Z. I had bought it from the best friend of the original owner, who had passed. He only owned the car for 6 months. It had 21,000 original miles, and it was a survivor. That was, at that point, the most special car I've ever owned, and the market reflected the significance of the car because it sold on Bring a Trailer for $310,000. It still is in the record books today. I don't know if that number will ever be beaten, but again, I was correct in deeming that car the most special car, and I think the rest of the world agreed. It was just about 6 months later, 7, 8 months later, that I had done another video on another very special car that I had purchased, and I actually kind of kicked the Datsun to the curb, so to speak. Just joking, but that's kind of what we did. And we actually deemed that car, which was a Jaguar E-Type that can be seen on our website sold page. That vehicle had less than 8,000 original miles, and I had purchased it from the original owner. It was a 1972, so because of those components, I figured although the Datsun was super special, I really thought the Jaguar was the most special car I've ever owned. We again listed that vehicle on Bring a Trailer, and once again, it sold for a very, very high price. It was in the $200,000+ range. It was a world record, something that we're super proud of. So twice, both cars that I deemed did extremely well when we went to sell them. Today, I have decided to kick the Datsun and the Jaguar again off the podium, and I would like to put this Chevelle on the podium as the most special car in history. Why? Not only is it a super special car, but we've owned many special cars in MS Classic Cars. It's because I purchased the vehicle from the original owner, and we're going back to 1966. 72 to 1966, we're only talking 6 years, but 6 years is a big deal. For me to own a car that I can say that is from 1966 and I purchased it directly from the original owner, it just doesn't happen. The first thing that I'll highlight here that just comes to mind as I'm doing this video here, we have, and I made copies of all of this, it's the only thing that's not included in this binder because it's in my safe for safekeeping. It will obviously go into the hands of the new owner, but we have the original title to this vehicle from 1966. A lot of times when people move, when people change registrations or cities or towns or whatever the case might be, they have to get new titles. Even though they're still the original owners, they have to get new titles. Bob and Karen still had the original title from 1966. Think about that. We're talking a significant amount of time, being 2021, now we're going into 2022, and I have that original title, which will be reassigned to the next owner. So legally, the next owner will be the second owner of this vehicle since I am a dealer, and we do dealer reassignments. So that's what comes to mind as far as that goes. So let's get into the deal behind the car. So the first thing that I wanted to do is contact Jerry MacNeish. For anybody who does not know Jerry MacNeish, he is the expert in the Camaro certification, judging. He does verifications, everything you can think of. He's actually published multiple books, and he does certifications all across the country. He also does Chevelles. He also does Novas. Jerry's been a great friend of ours, and he's helped me with many cars over the years. So I explained to Jerry and Norman, who works with Jerry, Norman Meads. They both actually do great work together. I explained to them of this particular car. I immediately scheduled an appointment. They came up here. They did a huge favor for me and got this Chevelle completely certified. So this is a copy of the original report that Jerry MacNeish did on this vehicle. This is going to be included with the vehicle. And again, I wanted documentation to support what this car was, because as I mentioned, this documentation will always stay with this car and it will always be part of the car's story. He did a full report here. This is page 2, this is page 3, and this is the certificate of authenticity that Jerry put here. He put 1966 Regal Red Chevelle, RPOL34 SS396 with original drivetrain. Very special. One thing that I do want to read off of Jerry's report here, besides him verifying everything with this vehicle, which I'm going to go over in a minute, the last few sentences of his report says the following. The color combination of the red exterior with parchment interior, it's actually ivory, imitation leather is what they refer to it on the ordering guide, with black vinyl top, make this vehicle one of a kind. Again, very, very special, but what Jerry does, he verifies the VIN number as authentic to the car. I'm talking about the VIN tag. He then verifies that the trim tag is authentic to the car. For people who do or do not know, a lot of people make these now reproduction. They make fake VIN tags. They make fake reproduction trim tags. These are authentic to this vehicle. He gets into the build dates of the car, what the original color combinations were. He gets into the engine, the transmission, the rear end. He even studies the documentation because a lot of people fraudulently make fake documentation. It's a very shady business because there's a lot of people who do things that are just, not right. And what we like to do at MS Classic Cars is have all the experts verify everything on our cars when we're selling cars that are factory correct. When you get into custom cars, none of that really matters, but when we deal with factory correct cars, it clearly does. So again, that report is included. So the first thing I'd like to do is just highlight some of the original documentation. The first thing is we have the original build. This is the bill of sale that basically shows the whole thing. Bob actually had this laminated to preserve it. Again, it shows Dewey Smith Chevrolet, Omaha, Nebraska. It shows Robert's names, Karen name. It shows their address, the VIN number on the car. And at the time, as the magazine documents, which I'll show you in a minute, they had a 1960 Chevrolet convertible. They never mentioned what the model was, but it was a bigger car, convertible, and they needed a family car. This is what Bob and Karen referred to as a family car. And it shows that he ordered this vehicle directly from the dealership because he worked there. So just to kind of read off some of these options that this car has: 4-speed transmission, huge option. Posi-track axle, huge option. 355 gears. Power steering, huge option. Center console, big option with Chevelles. PB radio. It has, again, the 360 horse turbojet engine. That was the upgraded from the 325 horse option. The Astro bucket seats, which were an option. Vinyl roof, as we mentioned earlier, and the tinted glass. That's what he ordered it as, and he did a trade-in. Everything is documented on here. Again, this is included with the sale. I also made copies of everything that we're going over today. Some other things that I wanted to mention that are included regarding the original documentation is we have the, this is actually the lien paperwork from the bank. It's referred to as the retail installment contract. We have all 3 copies. We have the white, we have the yellow, and we also have the pink. All these are included. And back in the day, when you did these, a lot of people took out an insurance policy based on the mortgage that they had gotten. They referred to it as a mortgage. Back in the day, that was a certificate that was provided for life insurance. Even that is included. So these are original documents that are included with the car. Very cool. Again, as I mentioned to you, we have the original title. While we're on the subject of documentation, this is actually the original dealership pouch. The pouch is actually what concealed the original owner's manuals, and it shows the name, Robert and Karen Koala Jr. here. It shows their address in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Dewey Chevrolet. This is really, really cool. This is included. Inside this pouch, on the back of it here, we have the delivery date, which was June 16th, 1966. Again, the VIN number, they even put the car key numbers on here, the original key numbers, which was pretty cool. This is the original plastic for the owner's manuals. Again, because we bought this car from the original owner, everything is truly original. You cannot make this kind of stuff up. So here we have the original owner's manual here. It's in beautiful condition. There's some more information here for accessories from Chevrolet. We also have the Sales Digest 66 passenger cars. And most importantly, people, when they talk about Chevelles and they talk about documentation, a lot of the Chevrolets, they talk about what most people refer to as the protector plate. In reality, it was called the Owner Protection Plan. This was basically warranty information, and most importantly, it was the back page, which shows the delivery date. The dealership stamped it, they signed off on it, and this, if you flip it around, this is, and it's backwards because they would have put this down and they would have run over it when they filed their warranty claims. This is all the information, client, car, etc., etc. So this is included as well. So we have owner's manuals, we have the protector plate, we have the original plastic, we have the dealership cover and so forth. Again, all of this information is included. On the subject of other documentation that's included, I have made a list. I'm not going to sit here and read it to you. You can definitely go on our website, read our description. You can see it. We took pictures of all this as well. There's a huge list here of all of the awards that were included. I told Bob and Karen when I was buying the car, I had said to them, let's only keep the trophies that mean a lot. I know they had won over 80 awards with this vehicle, but I just wanted the ones that were more important that we could include with the vehicle and that will hopefully stay with the vehicle. So all of those are clearly listed on our website, so check all those out. Also, these plaques here, which I also took pictures of, there's a few patches in here, there's a ribbon in here. All of these are for some of the car shows that they went to. They were dating all the way back to 2000, and then again all the way up to some of the ones that were a little bit more current. So that's included as well. We also have some pictures of the car when it went to the shop to be restored. I'm going to touch base on that in a minute. All of these are included. And then there were some pictures of the car when it was completed out in front of their house. Again, in Omaha, Nebraska. You can see the original license plates that were on the vehicle, and you can also see some pictures at various car shows. Again, all this is in our photo gallery. Make sure to check that out. There's also a couple of CDs that are in here. These are actually this CD here. This is the Essential SS 396 Chevelle Fact Book. And I wanted to give a shout out here to Mike Crown from Mystery Chevelle. He's a friend of mine. He does a lot of the verification, certification Chevelles, definitely an expert in the field. They had gotten this from him back in the day, so I thought that was pretty cool. And this is just a song, SS 396, Paul Revere and the Raiders. This is also included as well. So basically, that's all the information that's included with the car. That's a lot of the documentation that comes with it. So what I'm going to do now is just get into talking a little bit about the exterior. Put my notes back in order here. Put all this away. So the first thing is, it was in and around I believe it was 1996, if I'm not mistaken, that the car was taken from their friend's garage, and it was actually brought to the restoration shop to be completed. I'll have to visit this, or you'll have to visit this to get the exact dates of when it actually took place. But I know the vehicle was done just a few years later. So when the vehicle was restored, it was a frame-on restoration. This is not a car that had been completely disassembled and put back together. This was a car that was an original car. Again, it had 59,000 miles on it. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, now that I'm on that subject, there is a few bits of more information here. This is the magazine that I had referenced earlier. Before I forget, because some of that information I was just going over there with you, I actually learned from the magazine. This is actually the Chevelle World magazine, and as Karen had mentioned in her letter, there is this huge spread on the car. I absolutely love what they titled this article as, Weapon of Mass Distraction. Distraction because of the color combination and how beautiful it was. But as I mentioned about the mileage before the car was restored, this is where it triggered my memory to show you this magazine. Also, I wanted to mention that there's original dealership brochures that are included with this car. Bob had actually saved some of the brochures. These are right off the dealership showroom floor. You got to check out these. This is original, absolutely beautiful on the Chevelle. Again, these are included with the vehicle as well. Just want to make sure I touch base on that additional documentation before I forgot. As I mentioned, this is a non-rehearsed video. This is my first take. Again, I'm going to make a few mistakes as I go here and probably forget to still mention a few things, but if something comes to mind, I'm probably going to interrupt myself to mention it. So getting back to the actual vehicle itself, so when it went into the restoration shop, because it had always been garaged, because it was always well taken care of, it retains 100% of its original sheet metal. This vehicle, again, was never completely disassembled and put back together. I cannot brag enough about how well the hood opens and closes, how wonderful the doors open and close, and the same thing with the trunk compartment. During the time that it was in the body shop, they obviously made everything as beautiful as what they could. The rear driver's side quarter panel did have a little bit of rust. It was just a little bit. They did a little bit of repair work to the rear quarter, but they didn't have to replace the entire rear quarter. So I'm going to go on record and still say it does retain all of its original sheet metal. When they ordered the car from the dealership, they had paid extra to have it factory undercoated. Jerry MacNeish mentioned in his report that it still retains its original factory or dealer installed undercoating. We left all that undercoating under there as well when we cleaned it, so that really helped with the floors and so forth from rusting and rotting over the years. So the body on this car is super, super straight. It's in beautiful condition. I think they did a super job when it was at the body shop. Now, getting into the color, if you have not seen Regal Red, this is the original Born With color. It is absolutely spectacular. It fits the Chevelle like a glove. It is beautiful. Jerry, when he came to look at the car, he had made a comment and said, how long ago was this car painted? I said, it was around that 1996 time frame. He said, Mark, is it really? And I said, it is. It's that beautiful. The paint job is absolutely beautiful. And again, it's a one repaint car. This car was not painted 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It was only painted once. And they did an absolutely beautiful job. The guys in our detail department did an unbelievable job cleaning it, so it looks simply fabulous. It's beautiful, beautiful paint, beautiful body. Can't say enough about it. As Karen had mentioned in the letter that she had done for me, they made the decision to change all the glass. Because what happens is when you do beautiful body work and you do beautiful paint work, what happens is your eyes are trained to start looking at everything else. So you look at all the stainless trim, you look at the glass, you look at the bumpers, you look at the mirrors and things like this. So they made the decision to change all the glass during the restoration, which I think was a great decision because the glass is perfect. As she said in her letter, this vehicle was a trailer queen. It never had been driven on the pavement, and I say never. Maybe it went 10, 20, 30, 50 feet, but they never drove the car after it was restored. All these years it was trailered, so you can only imagine the condition of the paint. Has no road rash, it has no chips, the bumper wasn't all chipped up, the glass wasn't all chipped up and so forth like you'd find from a car that was driven a few thousand miles or what have you. So all the glass is crystal clear and in beautiful shape. They took all the original window trim and they had it all professionally restored and polished. This is not reproduction stuff that you see on here. It fits real well. Can't say enough about that. The bumpers, as she mentioned in her letter, the bumpers were taken off. They were restored, they were re-chromed, they were put back on. There is some reproduction parts that were added to the vehicle, things that they couldn't salvage, like these mirrors, like the door handles. There's a few emblems and things like this, but I would say that a majority of the exterior is original to the car and it was restored. In my listing, I said everything on the exterior of the vehicle was either restored or replaced, and that gives you kind of an overview of what it is. Again, talking about the color combination with this black vinyl top, we think because it was a special order deal, Bob had a special order this color combination. at the dealership when it was new. We think it's a one of one. I don't want to go on record and say that it is because I can't back up that statement, but we say possible in our description. Jerry said one of a kind, however you want to word it. Let's say there is another one, or let's say there's 5, let's say there's 10. You understand how rare this color combination is. More than likely, you will never see it again. Again, regal red with a black vinyl roof, which looks stunning, with this absolutely gorgeous ivory and black interior. And to put the icing on the cake, the actual wheels themselves were painted red. They match the exterior perfectly, and then of course it has the red line tires. Just to touch base on the size of the tires, let me just reference my notes here. So they are Cooker Classic red lines, and they are 205, 75, 14. Again, can't say enough about the exterior of the car. Now, getting into the interior of this car, I would say that probably 75 or 80% of this interior has been replaced. Again, when you have an exterior, it's as beautiful as what this exterior is. The last thing you want to do is have an interior that's all mismatched with original parts, new parts, and so forth. So I would go on record and say, again, most of this interior has been restored. Reproduction, of course, they did a beautiful job. So starting with the headliner is super tight. It's in beautiful condition. The headliner is, of course, the ivory color. The sun visors are nice and thick here. The piece that actually holds the sun visors is replaced. The rear view mirror is new. The dashboard is new. All the gauges are crystal clear. The steering wheel's new. Door panels, all the door panel hardware is new. The seats have been restored. Again, this was an optional seat, these Astro bucket seats. They're super comfortable. They have seat belts in the front, seat belts in the back. The carpeting, the center console, everything in this interior is in working order. One thing I will say is the car still has its original odometer and speedometer. The speedometer doesn't work as perfectly as it used to back in the day. We clearly did not want to change that at MS Classic Cars, so it does function. It just doesn't sweep the way that it should. Sometimes it bounces, which is very typical. But most importantly, we did not want to change the odometer, which comes as one big unit because it has original miles on it. The car right now reads 59,939 original miles. Again, everything is working. The heating system works right down to the clock that is built in the center console. The clock is in working order as well. What we did at MS Classic Cars for all of our photos is I went out and I purchased brand new carpeted floor mats. I got the ones that said SS 396 on them. It does have the original style rubber floor mats that are included. You'll see those within our photo gallery. And while I'm on the subject of floor mats, Bob had saved the original paper mats, which you clearly can see in our photo gallery or in this video. Those mats are paper. He had them laminated like he did the bill of sale, and I thought those were really, really cool. Those are to be used on display if the car's at a car show or something like this. So you have the paper mats, the rubber mats, and also the carpeted mats. Getting into the trunk compartment, I'm going to reference my notes here. Everything was correctly restored back there with the trunk splatter paint. It does have a factory-style trunk mat, and it also has a full-size spare tire with tools. You can clearly see that in our photo gallery as well. Getting into the engine compartment. The engine compartment, again, if I were to reference Jerry MacNeish's report, let me see if I had written that down here in our notes. Yes, I did. As quoted from Jerry MacNeish's report, the engine bay is extremely detailed and original. So, Jerry looked at this engine bay. He was extremely impressed by it. I think they did a beautiful job restoring everything. There's a lot of things in this engine compartment that are original to the car. Let me go ahead and just read this quick paragraph about the engine bay. It is powered by its original matching numbers, L34, which is the 396, 360 horse V8 engine that runs excellent. It does have the T0531EF assembly date. It has the 961 casting, and it has the cast E176. Those are all the things, again, that verify numbers on the engine, and the fact that it has the VIN stamp on the block. designates that it is truly the original motor to this car. You got to be very careful in this business. People say matching numbers. That doesn't mean that was the engine that was born with the vehicle. This vehicle has its original born with motor. Over the years, it was serviced, but it was never rebuilt. So once again, this engine has never been rebuilt. When we get into the things that MS Classic Cars did, we actually did have the cylinder heads rebuilt. We took them off, we professionally had them rebuilt, and then we reassembled them onto the vehicle. The intake manifold is cast 948 dated E246, original intake to the vehicle. The Harley carburetor is number 3419 dated 653, original to the vehicle. The alternator is 1100693 dated 6B7, original. The coil is number 204BR. So again, it has a lot of original components. It breathes through the correct exhaust manifolds, and it also has a correct new dual exhaust system that was replaced by MS Classic Cars. We did install a brand new exhaust system when we serviced the vehicle. The engine is coupled. Here we go to another important fact about this car. It is coupled to the original matching numbers M20 4-speed manual transmission. So again, to have a car with its original color combination, original motor, and original transmission is a big deal. It's what makes this car a very special piece. Again, it has P0527 assembly date on the transmission and 010 on the case. The transmission was also never rebuilt. Again, it had less than 60,000 miles on it. It was just serviced. It was just gone through over the years. The clutch is super easy to operate. I cannot say enough about the clutch and the way that this car shifts through the gears. The power is transferred to the original 12-bolt Positrack rear end with 355 gears. So we have an entire drivetrain that is original to the car, as verified and certified by expert Jerry MacNeish on his report. Again, you got to check out this car. The rear end has a KF0427B assembly date, and the casting is 3875745N casting number and C216 casting date. The reason I mentioned all those numbers, because Jerry had put those on his report. A lot of people get into all that stuff. Some people don't care. I figured I would just mention it. Last but not least, we're going to finish up this, this video here with the undercarriage. The undercarriage, as I mentioned, it's very detailed. It has tons of original parts. It was undercoated at the dealership. It still is undercoated. The guys in the detail room did a beautiful job refreshing everything under there. Again, Jerry MacNeish's report states solid original floors and still has original dealership undercoating. Again, everything underneath this car was restored, such as the steering, the suspension, and the braking system. When I talk about the steering, I cannot emphasize enough how beautiful this car turns. The day I drove it, it was the first thing I noticed, besides how beautiful it ran, was how wonderful it steered. So again, summing up this whole video here, there's a lot of things that are included. As I mentioned, you got to check that, again, everything out in our description at msclassiccars.com. But I will read my last paragraph here before I go ahead and start the car. In all my years of collecting classic vehicles, this is the most special vehicle I've ever had. That says a lot, considering I've owned over 700 vehicles. Prior to this Chevelle, the oldest vehicle I purchased from the original owner was 1972. Until now, that was my most special vehicle. I will always remember this car, and I will always remember the story of how I acquired it. I really appreciate both Robert Jr. and Karen Koala, and will always consider them friends. I dedicate this listing to them both. Again, thanks everybody for watching this video. I know it was a longer video, but once again, if you're a car enthusiast, I'm sure you appreciated everything that I just went over. We would ask, if you have not signed up for our VIP email blast, please do that. That's the best way to stay in contact with MS Classic Cars. We have thousands of people who follow us on that. We also are on all the social media networks. Please check us out and like us there as well. Follow us there. We do a lot of posts typically every day. We're listing new stuff. We, again, are a very small company, but at MS Classic Cars, we are doing great things. We appreciate you watching this video. thank you so much. We normally start these vehicles, we bring them outside, we let them warm up for a while, then we pull them back inside. I thought it would be a great idea so Bob and Karen could see me start this car, a cold start. It's been sitting in the showroom now for probably 7-8 days or whatever. We really haven't moved it or done anything with it. So I'm going to go ahead and fire it up here. It might take a second or two to get it fired up, but I figured a cold start would be really cool to end the video. So again, appreciate you watching. Let's go ahead and pump the gas pedal a few times and crank her over. Can't make that up. Hey, foot's off the gas. It's idling absolutely beautiful. You could put a cup of coffee on that motor. I give my guys in service a great job for dialing in these cars. Again, I can't be happy enough to present this car to the world. Thanks again. Rock and roll.